We have
Hello, Jehuti Pata Umika Temra.
Ooh. He's in Cali. He's in Cali. One of our full members, Ankh and Ma'at to you. I don't remember what city in California he's in anymore, though. Remind us what city you're in.
Hello, Jehuti Pata Umika Temra.
Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Aton Amunra.
You know he's in the Windy City. Ankh and Ma'at to you. By the way, we've been we had our ceremony earlier, so we don't actually, I wasn't able to read your text. But I do want to say that he wanted me to announce something.
Again, I get together.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. He wanted me to announce something. Let me say that Sen Atan and Sen Jason are hosting a Shem Suheru class reunion in Chicago on June 7th. And they're going to be posting information about that. They're planning to do a tour of the Oriental Institute. I know they've changed their names, like Institute of the Study of the Ancient World or something like that now. But it's been the Oriental Institute for over 100 years. They're planning on doing a tour there, and they'll probably have some other activities. So if you are a member of the Shem Suheru, or you just want to crash a gathering of members of the Shrine of Ma'at, I know them well. They would welcome you with myrrh. They wouldn't say, "What you doing here? You're not part of us." They would not do that. But if you would like to go to Chicago on the weekend of June 7th, please reach out to them. They'll be posting some information. And I know they're starting something. They are starting something. Now that the Shamsu Heru is talking about gathering, you know that the other groups of members are going to start saying, well, they're doing it, how come we're not doing it? I can see that coming. And the more gatherings we have, the better. So if there are those of you from some of the other groups, we would still love to have those events as well. Wonderful. So June 7th is what they're planning. If it's open on your calendar, keep it open, and you'll hear more about it really soon.
Yes, Stuart Jamon Hastings from East London.
Okay, my aunt to you. Brother Stuart, are you in London or from London? Because that would be the furthest away. Certainly further away than Chi-Town. No, he's right over the bridge. We talking about Chicago.
Put that back into a conversation.
Now, see, when you Google it, you're gonna see it. I honestly didn't make it up. I really didn't. It's there. It really is there.
I believe you. It didn't make it to Connecticut.
Terrible. Who else do we have?
We have Eric Aru from Wichita, Kansas.
I'm not sure if I've heard that name either. Ankh to you, if you are new or relatively new. Wichita, Kansas, wonderful. Ankh to you.
Kimberly Blue.
Kimberly Blue. I feel like I'm supposed to know that that's another name for someone else. If it is, please let me know. Ankh to you, Sinette.
Sen Gavin.
Sen Gavin in the DMV as well, one of our full members. Ankh to you, dear brother.
Gwen Cox out in Georgetown, South Carolina.
Ankh not a name I've heard before. There are a number of folks that are new here. Ankh to you, dear Sinette. By the way, let me say to you, if you are here for the first time, you should let us know that as well. And this is an excellent time for you to hit the like. This is a good time for you to forward the link. You know people that should be here with you. Please make sure that the Shrine of Ma'at's reach is extending and expanding. Please make sure you are letting those people who are on this journey with you know that we are here for Kemetic Ascension.
Okay, we have Curtis Jackson out in Painesville, Ohio.
Ankh one of our full members. Send Curtis. Ankh to you. Hope you're doing well.
We had a question whether we're broadcasting on YouTube. Yes, it just started streaming recently, so hopefully those of us who use YouTube are able to view us at this point.
Usually we broadcast on Facebook and YouTube, and Anika has recently connected Instagram, but Instagram only it's still just doing an hour, so you'll still be able to just see us for an hour. Hopefully that will extend soon as well.
We have Heruasar Ankh Amunra out in Dallas, Texas.
Ankh and Ma'at to you, a regular person, Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Brother Sean Richardson in the house.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Full member.
Full member, right, full member. I don't think we've seen Sen Sean recently, have we? Oh no! We're in Denver, you said?
I didn't say where.
Phoenix.
Oh, in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Oh, that's Sen Sean.
Yes.
Yeah, Ankh and Ma'at Richardson?
Yes.
That's his last name.
Is that his last name?
It's been that the whole
Am
time.
I? Did I not have coffee? Maybe I had my coffee too early today. Ankh and Ma'at, I definitely know Sen Sean. We spent time together. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I hope all is well. I wonder what your new endeavors are because he is a master editor, and so I would love to know what you're up to. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
He's making choices on flyers.
Yeah, we'll see that. Well, clearly he's doing that too, right?
I gotta talk to you,
Ankh and
Sean.
Ma'at. Why does Richardson not sound like his last name?
I don't know.
So you just call him Sen Sean.
Maybe I just call him Sen Sean. Right. And you know, he's also Shondell. See, I know that too.
Well, that's his. You got his whole government out there.
His government is out there now, right? His government is out there now.
I was gonna say Sean, but I'm like, yo,
If you said that, I would really know, but I know he's
But
Sen
that's
Sean.
right.
Ankh and Ma'at to you. I hope all is well, brother. We'll see you soon. I know that I'll probably be, well, that's not that close, but we're planning to go to Phoenix sometime soon. I got a call from Professor Small, and he's planning to go out, and so we said we would go together. So definitely we'll be there.
Well, I'm gonna go.
You should. It's gonna be amazing.
When is it?
We don't have a date yet.
Okay, let me know.
Definitely, I will. Definitely, I will.
Okay, we have Sen Jason Holmes.
Send
in
Jason.
Nebraska.
Send Jason from Lincoln, Nebraska, who is out there and going to Chicago for that ceremony that reunion for the Shensu Heru. He and Sen Atan are going to be putting that together. Ankh and Ma'at to you, dear brother. He's always here. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Free Mind from San Antonio.
Ankh and Ma'at. That name sounds like we've seen it at least a few times before. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Okay, we have Ronald Green, who gives his condolences to
Rahusama.
Rahusama. Says he lost his oldest daughter in October.
Oh, wow.
2023.
Oh, wow. Like I was saying, it is so challenging when a parent has to bury their child. And so we send condolences to you, dear brother. We're asking for her soul to successfully make her journey. By now, she's already there, partying with the Neteru and the ancestors. We hope that you have developed the ability to hear from her, because I know that she wants to speak, to commune with you.
So Heru Jehuti Patel says he's out in East Oakland. His father was a Black Panther.
It's East. Oh, see, now I'm going to remember that. He knew very well that if he tells me something connected to Black history, now I'm always going to say, out East Oakland. Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Knowing your audience and knowing the idling brain and memory of Dwa.
So Sen Gavin says, please give thanks to my Jegna Anthony Browder as he welcomed his grandson into the world.
I didn't even hear that she had the child. When?
Mom, Atlantis.
I need to reach out to her.
Atlantis
had a child. I reached out to her during her pregnancy, but I had not realized that she had already given birth. We need to reach out to them. Absolutely. Please give lots of Seneb and myrrh to our dear sister Atlantis, who does so much amazing work in the community, working on that wonderful archaeological project with her father, Sentoni. One of my Jegnas as well. He's like a big brother to me. And in addition to that, Atlantis is also the person that I get my body butter from. I listen, her body butter, you should go to Atlantis Royal for her body butter. It's amazing. The best quality, and I've been using shea butter for 30 some odd years. Best quality stuff that I have. So Atlantis Royal, you should definitely go. Atlantis Royal shea butter, I think, is what you should search for.
Mm-hmm. We have Miss Mena with us for 3 years in Mississippi.
Ankh and Ma'at, Miss Mena.
She plans on going to Chicago for June 7th.
Wonderful.
Jason Edwards out in Evergreen, Alabama.
Ankin Ma'at,
Shamsu Ma'at.
one of our more recent members of the shrine. Ankin Ma'at to you, a master with the language, has studied it extensively. Ankin Ma'at, a young man who has done a lot of study. He appears older than his age because of all the study he's done. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen Jason.
We have Anthony Jones out in Norfolk, Virginia.
Ankin Ma'at to you, Anthony. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at.
Onuris Benu Montura from Savannah, Georgia.
And you know, I always
That's for
remember
3
that
months.
because I don't know anyone that uses the name Onuris. Onuris is one of the oldest deities of Kemet. And he actually wears a Henenem sheath. You'll see a wonderful statue of him in the Brooklyn Museum with a big fro. He always has a big fro. Maybe that's why no one remembers him, because those people who are studying the tradition don't want you to see a deity
Too
with
black.
a fro. That's right.
Too strong.
Too strong. That's right.
Too
So that's
black.
why-
Too strong.
Let's forget about that one.
We're gonna hide him.
He is. There's a wonderful statue of him in the Brooklyn Museum on Norris. Ankin Ma'at, dear brother, we've noticed you coming regularly in recent months. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at.
There's Shane the Watcher, 616.
And you know he's my,
Sacramento, California.
like me, he's a comic book and Marvel fan. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear brother. I want to know what you thought about Echo. We'll talk about that later. Ankin Ma'at.
You started?
I finished it. It's only 6 episodes.
We have Wally Young. Tell us where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
A few times.
Relatively new name to me. Ankin Ma'at to you and welcome.
Gwen Cox says she came from the Lighthouse.
Really? Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at. That institution that was founded and really hemnettered by one of the members of our Wenwet, Hemnetter Jamar. Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome.
Okay. We have Garrett Mann with us.
Ankin Ma'at, one of our full members. He and his queen are full members of the shrine out from Bennu in Phoenix. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear brother.
Sandra Arrington.
Ankin Ma'at, another full member from DMV area? Isn't it, Sandra? I think you're in the DMV area. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember where you are. Do you remember?
I think she's in New York City.
Really?
I could be wrong.
Ankin Ma'at to you. I don't think she's in New York.
She's not in New York.
I could be wrong. If she was in New York, we would have probably been asking her to do stuff. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin
I
Ma'at.
think I work for you.
Yeah, right? Ankin Ma'at to you.
And Sun Cleo.
Ankin Ma'at, who is in New York City, also out in Q Borough, man. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen Cleo.
Will Net Louis, F.Y. Ma'ati Robinson, Abojewa Aset.
Ankin Ma'at, you know we love that name because it has both the Kemetic language and the language of Ghana, 2 places that are dear to us. It's the ancient and the more modern. It's the East and the West. And so it's so important to recognize the connections between the two. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear Sinet.
We have King Moore with us.
Ankin Ma'at, yes. Someone who we've seen a bit more recently. Ankin Ma'at to you, King Moore.
Yes. Let's see. San Jamar.
Hemnetter Jamar is here. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Haru Grills is here with us.
Ankin Ma'at, someone who's been in recently as well. Ankin Ma'at to you, Haru Grills.
Bronchi Smith from Dallas, Texas.
Ankin Ma'at, I'm not familiar with that name. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Alan Mayu out in Seattle, Washington, full member.
Full member, Sen Allen, who is one of our members that has a strange sense of humor. I remember his social media posts. We have a few members that have a strange sense of humor.
Yeah.
You look at his social media like, what? You'll be laughing forever. He's one of them. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear Alan.
Tassetti from Denver, who's been with us for 1.5 years.
Ankin Ma'at, yes, someone who we hear regularly. Ankin Ma'at to you, Tassetti.
Yeah. KP Jackson from Dallas, Texas.
Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at.
Texas is taking over.
What'd you say?
So Texas is taking
We have a
over.
lot of people in Texas. We have a lot of people in Texas. Now, Texas is so large that you can be in one city and still be quite far away from another, but we see it very often. Ankin Ma'at.
Okay. Let's see, we have Jared Williams out in Mississippi. Oh, Mississippi's growing now.
Hey, Mississippi, Deep
Mississippi.
South. Deep South, I see you.
Yeah, my family's from there.
You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to be thinking conscious of you in the Deep
Yeah,
South.
yeah. Mississippi.
You know? I like that.
That Bible gate.
That Bible
Yeah.
belt is
Bible
locked.
belt,
That's
right.
right.
He goes to that gate.
It's locked tight.
That's what I
That's funny.
Okay, we have Aset Neteru Gaya from Guyana, Georgetown.
Now, I think I asked this.
Guyana,
I think I asked this question before. Are you in Guyana or are you from Guyana?
Because you know my mom's people are from Guyana.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
That's what you're gonna say.
Not only-
she's in Brooklyn, by
She is in New York City.
the way.
Oh my goodness. Hemet Shashat was absolutely correct. She's like, she's in New York City.
See?
She is in New York City.
Because she was
She managed all of the people coming in, so she remembers. That's why I look at her sometimes like, where's she from? By the way, sometimes she's here in person. Sometimes when I don't remember someone, she texts me during, you'll see me looking down. I'm like, okay, she told me who that person is. So, Ankin Ma'at to you. I forgot you were in Brooklyn.
Can I tell you how we were in Brooklyn? Because she was in one of my Herbaka groups. And I said an expression, and I'm like, you are an Abu, you can't be saying that type of stuff. And so then we talked, then we got back on track, and then we talked about something else, and she brought it up. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was a Biggie quote. Oh, you don't get Nathan. Because I was trying to explain something, and I was like, nothing. And I said Nathan. I'm like, don't say Nathan anyway, whatever. So yeah, so that's how I knew.
That's not the worst thing to say. Is
I was like,
we need to merge hip hop into the Kemetic tradition.
Well, I did that night.
Right, Hemnetta Jamar, come on now.
That's right. Jamar's doing big things.
Yes, he
Big
is.
things.
Yes, he is. We have several members of the shrine that are doing hip hop stuff. I also see Sen Corey, yeah, who is doing quite a bit as well. Yeah, Ankamat. But I don't think anyone is doing it on the level of Sen Jamar. He's all over the Hemnetta Jamar. He's all over. Being recognized in museums for Strong Island hip hop. I mean, he's
and there was a guy who was a boxer who
Yes.
shouted him out.
Not,
and then he did
MMA.
Yeah, right.
I said, Jamar, did you know this? He said, I did not. I was listening and I said, wait, who?
You're like, wait, that's me.
That's right. Right.
Exactly. So
He won and said, who is he looking at? Who are his guides? And he mentioned Jamar.
Yep.
Can you imagine that?
He did. I don't know if he did the full opening of the way.
Yeah,
but
he
definitely
did the
him
position of
back then,
adoration.
he was
That's right.
And he was like so amped and so.
Can you imagine that? UFC, not some minor backyard thing.
No.
UFC. Yeah, UFC.
Not a rooster fight.
Yeah, it's UFC. That's amazing. So yeah, we have to be able to reach everyone.
Everyone.
And this is a tradition that we created, hip hop. So definitely
That's a
we should make sure that we are channeling all of our culture through it. Ankin Ma'at to you. You said something else I was gonna mention and I completely forgot. Who was the last person you mentioned? Do you remember?
I just said Sandra Irons was from Brooklyn. I mentioned we had more people from Mississippi.
Oh yeah. What I was going to say is not only is my mother from Guyana, my mother and my sister are in Guyana right now. They are there right now. So I'd love to know where in Guyana you may be from or where you are.
Were you in?
Yeah, where you are.
Are you in Guyana or are you from Guyana?
Yeah.
Oh.
We have Jehuti Amun Douglas out in St. Louis.
Ankin Ma'at, I'm not sure that's a name I'm familiar with.
He was Jed Abet Heri Ib.
Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Are you when you say St. Louis, are you in East St. Louis or in St. Louis? Because I know East St. Louis is a legendary Black community. I'm pretty sure that's where Sen Jason is from as well. And other members of the shrine.
Darius Miles.
Who?
Darius Miles. He used to play in the NBA.
Oh, and I want to say Sanette Daria, and she's the sisters. And Rael. And Rael. Both of them are from East. They may be still in East St. Louis. So Ankin Ma'at. You have some people out there. Is what we say.
Okay, we have Samantha Kuliti out in Sonoma, California.
Ankin Ma'at.
Our YouTube channel back in 2020.
Wow. And Sonoma is a beautiful place. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Sinette Adedike is with us.
Oh, Ankin Ma'at. Holding down the Gambia. Yeah, Ankin Ma'at to you.
About her yesterday.
Wonderful. It's good to hear that you're out there, Sinette. I hope that the continent is treating you the way that it deserves. one of our active members. Ankin Ma'at to you. Very active members, I should say.
We have Hemnetter Timothy.
Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Are you in New York City or are you someplace else? You know he's all over the place.
He's
Ankin
not.
Ma'at to you.
I spoke to him.
He's not here.
Yesterday. He's not in New York.
Yeah, he's someplace. He's always all over the place carrying the tradition with him. Ankin Ma'at to you. It's good to know that you're there. A member of the Wenwen. Not only a full member, but a member of our Wenwen. Ankin Ma'at to you.
It's passing. Family. This is his name.
I'm sorry.
Someone passed?
What's his name?
I don't.
We need to know correctly.
Yeah.
Family.
Right.
If you did have someone that passed in your family, Hemnetter Tehudi, please let us know. Let me know. I'm not aware of it. So.
We have Tiffany Stewart. So that's where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
Jehuti Amun says St. Louis the Loop.
The Lou. Ankin Ma'at.
Peso J. Okay, yes, the question will ask later. Kasikimwe is in Florida. We have
Yes, he's all over the place. Ankin Ma'at.
Peter Miller.
Be safe there.
Who's out in Scotland.
Oh, Scotland. Ankin Ma'at.
Scotland, the country.
That's the furthest away. Ankin Ma'at. So far, at
And our
least.
set guy says she's in Guyana.
Ankin Ma'at to you. I don't know which one is further away, Guyana or
Or Scotland.
I want to say Scotland is further.
Probably.
Yeah, Scotland is probably further.
Because Guyana would be
South.
East
It's
Coast.
a,
It was
South
New York
America
City time.
versus.
South
How
America
far-
is a good little trip. Man.
It is a good little trip,
Yeah.
It is a good little
yeah,
trip.
yeah.
Time zones. I'm not-
But still, well, time zones. It's still time
Yeah.
zones might not tell it, but yeah. But I
Right.
think I still think Scotland's further away. Forgive me if I'm incorrect in my poor geography.
Yeah, Sen Lee, Senkofa, Kepra Heru's here.
Ankin Ma'at, how are you, dear brother? It's good to know that you're there, Sen Lee. One of our full members. In Alabama.
Alabama. Correct.
Yeah, in Alabama. Ankin Ma'at to you.
And I think I got it. Oh yeah, Anthony Jones wants to know if you're gonna bring back Tuesday Talk.
It's back.
It's back.
It is back.
It's back. It's
It's
back.
back.
Tomorrow we're going to be on at 8. The time for this season has changed to start at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But tomorrow our guest will, not tomorrow, Tuesday, i.e. Tuesday Talk. Our guest, it's going to start at 8 p.m.
That was the right time to ask because the person who is the Tuesday Talk, the ground for Tuesday Talk is right here.
So Kasekimwe said it was his grandmother, Jeanette Vivian Presley is now an ancestor.
Jeanette Presley?
Jeanette Vivian Presley.
Vivian Presley. Can we ask that the divine forces, the Neteru and the ancestors, gather around the Ka and the Ba of our dear now ancestor mother, Jeanette Vivian Priestley. We ask for the ancestors and the Neteru to ensure her successful journey on the boat of Ra. We ask for them to make a central place for her on that boat and that they gather around her to protect her on her journey. We ask for the journey to be smooth. We ask for the journey to be straight. We ask for the Neteru to ensure that she make that journey successfully and that she give her family solace when she arrives in her due destination. We ask that you, O Neteru, ensure that her family receives the healing that is necessary. When a matriarch makes her transition, something different occurs in a family. And so we are asking that that difference be positive. We are asking that that difference be healing. We ask that her memory is that which is held aloft, as she has all of these individuals who can speak of her works. And we ask that the ancestors greet her, the ancestors make her, the ancestors seal her, as she is now amongst them. So with that we say, Twanter, Twanter.
Twanter.
Tiffany Store says she's from Patterson, New Jersey, by the way.
Oh, Ankh and Ma'at, not that far away.
We have live sounds from Shaolin.
Shaolin. I'm assuming that from New York City, you should know that means Staten Island if you're from New York City. If not, you'd be like, he's in China? No. We call Staten Island Shaolin.
Why? Because it's far.
Because the Wu-Tang called it Shaolin.
Oh,
See,
sorry.
this is a New York City thing you have to know. What'd you say?
Take her black
Can't
card.
Take a black card?
Charge us to Connecticut. Please charge
Yeah, we
us
call
to
it
Connecticut.
Shaolin. We call Staten Island Shaolin. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, wow.
Well, when Wu-Tang says it probably has it just sounds, more Wu-Tangy. So
But they literally say that they're in Shaolin. They literally, it's not like a reference. You will not hear them say Staten Island. They will say Shaolin. So, yeah.
We have Sinette B, who is texting from Houston.
Ankh and Ma'at. Houston. Snebby, are you living in Houston? Wasn't she in North Carolina or South Carolina?
that we need to know what's going on.
Yeah, let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you're doing.
doing.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Lady Kier of Affirmation Records.
Ankh and Ma'at. I think we've seen that name recently. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
David Paul Jackson.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Karim Ahmad Reed out in South Carolina.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Yes. Sinette Newt has joined us.
From Boston. Ankh and Ma'at. We're supposed to see you next month. Yasir and I are supposed to be doing some celebrations for a tour of the museum and also a celebration for the great ancestor Ranoka Rashidi. I hope it's been announced. I'm not sure if it has been. We're supposed to be doing some. She knows this already.
In Boston?
Yeah, because she's the Boston
Let me know.
lady.
Yeah.
Definitely, I
I can
will.
jump on Amtrak.
Definitely, I will. Definitely, I will. You'll hear about it. I promise you will hear about it no later than Wednesday of this week.
Okay. Right.
A whole bunch of people popping on now. We have Kent Keys here with us.
Ankh and Ma'at, one of our regulars.
And Daniel Roche just popped in.
Ankh and Ma'at, one of the priests that was made in the Shrine of Ptah, our shrine of origin, and a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at, our dear brother out in Long Island. Ankh and Ma'at to you. And we know that he's always doing good work. And he's supposed to be on Tuesday Talk this week.
He's going to be on Tuesday Talk. Yep. That's
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Roche.
He's doing some really important work. So
Yes,
Ankh
he
and
is.
Ma'at.
Sinette B said she recently had a passing on January 7th of her aunt, Leanne.
Wow. This has been.
It's been a tough time for members of the shrine. Ankh and Ma'at, and we're asking that the soul, the Ba and the Ka of this dear matriarch, Leanne Baxter, successfully make her journey on the boat of Ra. That the ancestors and the Neteru surround her on this journey, and that she make that transition smoothly. We are asking for Ra and the ancestors to ensure that as she leaves the boat, she hears the greatest celebration, the drumming and the woodwinds and the string instruments to greet her in this new space that she is in. And we're asking that her family receive solace on her transition, and that their communication with her may be made easy and smooth as well. We say Twan Tur.
And last but not least, we have Sinette Sakina Ra, who joined us.
Ankh and Ma'at. Certainly Sinette Sakina Ra is one of our full members out in North Fork, Dakota. I've never been to Dakota, so it's just words to me, but
North Fork, North Dakota.
it's North Fork,
I was like, which Dakota?
Right,
It's
North
more than one
Dakota.
It's North Fork, North Dakota.
Right.
Okay. Well, I have to go out there one of these days.
You said Dakota like a territory.
Sorry. Gales of Dakota territory. Yeah, I did.
1827.
Yes. Ankh and Ma'at to you, one of our active members. She's always out there. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Definitely one of our full members. Yes.
And Ronnie Capresh Allen.
Oh, Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to you. One of the full members of our sister shrine, the Temple of Anu. Ankh and Ma'at to you. It's wonderful that you're out there. Hope you're doing well, dear brother. Haven't seen you in a minute, so Ankh and Ma'at to you.
James Lima, tell us where you are.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, Ankh and Ma'at to you. We took a lot of time doing our greetings. today. And I think it's also because we're so happy that you're here. But it's time for us to open this space the way that we always do, with the opening of the way. You know that this is the ritual, the ceremony that has been given to us by our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata, my spiritual father, our spiritual father, whose walk has allowed us to walk, whose standing allows us to be upright. So we want to say dua to him, dua, dua, dua. And we also know that as we mentioned our elder, that we are asking that you go to his website and make some purchases, because we want to make sure that our elder is in good stead as he continues to work. Now, I know all of you want something custom. He has thousands and thousands of items. Could you please purchase some things that he has made as well? Go to his website at Sopatah, SOPTAH.com, and make your purchases, because we need to make sure that the legacy that he has engendered continues.
Or if you're in the New York area, just stop by the shop.
If you're in the New York area, you can stop by. Absolutely. Yes.
I believe there were some issues with his site, so they might not be able to purchase at this moment. They might have to do it in person.
Okay. So please make sure that you are going to make things with him. And if you're not in the New York City area, give him a call. You can do it the old-fashioned way. Give him a call and tell him what you want, and he'll certainly be able to assist you. Listen, we have been with Baba since 1997, initiated since 1998, and I sometimes go to the studio and I see something and I go, "Is this new?" He's, "Oh no, that's old." So there's so much that we have not seen at all. If there's that much, you know it's a lot.
Right.
Especially because Anika loves to play with all of his old work. And I'm sure she sees things that she hasn't seen before. So please make sure that you are able to support our elder. So with that, the opening of the way. I believe that Hemet Netter Sashat is going to lead us in the opening of the way today. Please come forward. Does one of the male members of the Wenwet want to do the male section as well? Okay, come on. You'll all do it. I'm going to stand in the back because you always see this bold brother doing it. So please.
Let's all stand on the pose of adoration. Left foot first, left foot front, right foot back, left hand forward, right hand back. We're going to turn to the right, to the left, correct?
Do the right.
To the right. All right. Okay. Let's take a deep breath and inhale. Anetadak in Betet.
Anetadak in Betet.
Nuke in Betet.
Nuke in Betet.
Anetadak Hapi.
Anetadak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Turn to the right. Anetadak Serket.
Anetadak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Anetadak Kepsanu.
Anetadak Kepsanu.
Nuke Kepsanu.
Nuke Kepsanu.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Anetadak As.
Anetadak As.
Nuke As.
Nuke As.
Anetadak Amset.
Anetadak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Anetadak Neat.
Anetadak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Anetadak Duamutef.
Anetadak Duamutef.
Nuke Duamutef.
Nuke Duamutef.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Anetadak Newt.
Anetadak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Anetadak Geb.
Anetadak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Anetadak Shu.
Anetadak Shu.
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 Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetadak Tefnut.
Anetadak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Tuau Inter.
Anetadak Paut Interu.
Anetadak Paut Interu.
Nuke Paut Interu.
Nuke Paut Interu.
Anetadak Embu Interu.
Anetadak Embu Interu.
Nuke Embu Interu.
Nuke Embu Interu.
Tuau Inter.
Tuau Inter.
Tuawanter.
Tuawanter. Tuawanter. Dua, dua, dua. Dua to all of you, particularly to Emmett Knitter, Sashat, for leading us in the opening of the way. Remember that this is the ritual, this is the rite that our elder allows us to do. He is the one, you've heard me say this before, he is the one that put it into its current configuration. What do I mean when I say that? I mean that you're not going to find people in the ancient world doing the opening of the way. However, all of the pieces of the opening of the way are directly drawn from the ancient Kemetic tradition, which means that if you had the opportunity to go back in time and to do the opening of the way in front of the Merkutu, and someone approached you, they may not know exactly what you're doing, but they would understand what you were doing, because all of the constituent pieces come directly from the Kemetic tradition. This ritual allows us to remember that you are infinite. Perhaps that is the most important thing for us to say today, as we know that so many of us have lost members of their family to the world, the other world, to the afterworld, to the duat. But I will say to you that those individuals have not been destroyed by death. In fact, they have simply gone on to a larger, more ebullient existence. And it is incumbent upon us to develop the faculties to be able to commune with them. That is the challenge that we have, that we're not able to readily hear their laughs or to hear their wisdom or to commune with them. But you have to understand, if you develop your faculties, you will. It is said in the Reyu Pert and Ruangir, it says that we are making a prayer so that our ancestor will be able to go into the afterworld and come back into the land of the living and not be repulsed as they go back to the gates of the afterworld. In other words, we should know that in our tradition, we understand that those ancestors will be able to be here with us and go back to the world, Taseket Ma'at, where they belong, and come back and forth without being barred entrance to this world or to the next. That means that we know that they can be here amongst us. But we have been confused, deceived by our five senses. That's the problem. We spend all of our lives on the physical plane utilizing our five senses, and we begin to believe that all that exists can be measured, can be monitored, can be understood by them. That's the problem with being a corporeal being. That we think that all the things that we experience can be perceived that way, and certainly we should understand that our understanding, our thinking is finite because these bodies are finite, but that the world exists in a state of infiniteness, in a state of being that is all present. And so we want to remind you to do the opening of the way, remind you who you really are. None of the problems that you have are bigger than you. None of them. They may feel like it. I know I have them and they feel like it, but they're not bigger than you. If you understand who you actually are, you will recognize that you have the ability, the faculty to surmount them. So with that, we want you to continue to do the opening of the way. Okay, so at this point, we will go into Hessie. Is there a Hessie that you'd like to play, Anika? Or
Kumra.
Kumra. This is one of the old Hessie that comes to us from the Shrine of Ptah. And you're going to hear that wonderful couple, the Schaefers, do it a little bit differently than we did it in the Shrine of Ptah. Does that mean that it's wrong? No. In fact, it means that it's continuing to live. So I want you to hear it, and hopefully you will be familiar with it. It's one of those Hessies that can become an earworm, right? Once you start doing it, you begin to just find that you're doing it again. It's stuck in your head. And you can use this Hessie, you can use this form of adoration to undergird you in your daily secular life as well. So with that, from the Schaefers, Kumra. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Let me say that I love the work that they're doing. It is wonderful to hear them do that Hessie that comes from the Shrine of Ptah anew. It is amazing that we're hearing that Hessie again. They do it a little bit differently. The way that we learned it is kum ra, kum ra, kum he ru ra, kum he ru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum he ru ra, kum he ru ra ra. Now let me say to you, for so many years I did not know that Hessie. Apparently it was a Hessie that came from the shrine before Anika and I were part of the shrine. And we were not taught it during our initiation, during Kemetic 101. We were not. I don't know, were you? Were you taught that, Hessie? So by the time Baba was doing it regularly, he would just break into it and I'd be like, kum ra, kum. Just listen, Jabari, because you're gonna mess everything up. So later, obviously, as we started teaching and training with him and learning from him directly, he would break into it again. And I would just say, Baba, you never taught us that. Yes, I did. No, you didn't teach us that. So it was really funny. Thankfully, one of the things that happened is Baba asked me to digitize some of the old stuff that they had done. And in digitizing it, I was able to then hear the Hessie and learn the Hessie. And so you should know that it is on part of now this, I'm gonna take it back for a second. It's part of a cassette tape, literally a cassette tape that Queen Afu and Baba did called The Indwelling Healer. And so it actually, that's how I heard it. And they translate it as the mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. Kum ra, kum he ru ra, kum he ru ra ra. Kum ra 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 ra. Kum head ru ra. Kum head ru ra ra. And as you do it, as you can even hear the Schaefer's did, you can sing it in a round, right? Someone can start a little bit later and then it ends up coming together quite beautifully. So it is one of the old Hessie. It is a beautiful Hessie, and you should feel comfortable using it. Okay, so let's go into the word for the Seba'it for today. And hopefully what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to learn from this. I want to talk about what we're actually experiencing right now. I want to talk about exactly how the tradition has come forward to us in its most powerful sense. And in doing that, I'm hoping that you're going to recognize that it is important for us to recognize our ancestors. It is important for us to do those things that practitioners of the Kemetic tradition do as we are able to pay homage to commune with, and even to feed our ancestors. This is of critical importance. And you might even notice that MLK, that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King is here. And that's because obviously this is the month where his birthday and his celebration has been celebrated. And this is part of our way to recognize that there are ancestors, both familiar, both popular, and ancestors who are particular to you, that whose names have not been spoken by the masses, who are important. It is not just the popular ones that we should know, it is all of our ancestors. So let's talk a bit about the importance of remembering our ancestors. First off, you want to sit here? Sit here. First off, you'll note that we should say just a word about Dr. Martin Luther King, as his celebration occurred not last week, I guess it's almost 2 weeks ago, but it was after we had our last Kemetic Ascension. And so I want you to recognize that this important individual, who every single one of us who is hearing my voice has heard about, did some amazing things, led the Montgomery boycott in 1955, became the head of the SCLC in 1957. Now, this seems like everyone knows this, and it is no longer remarkable, but you must remember he was a young man when this was happening. He was going to lead the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and there were lots of old, gray-haired pastors who were part of it. And here it is, this young man becoming the head of this organization. He helps organize the March on Washington in 1963. This is very important. And I want us to recognize that the March on Washington was organized from 130th Street, literally one block from where we are. There's a brownstone 1 block from here that was the headquarters for the March on Washington. It is where Bayard Rustin did his work. And you may know that there's now a movie on Netflix for Bayard Rustin, featuring that brother with that incredible voice. What is the actor's name again? I'm forgetting it now. Coleman Domingo, who you may know from the Walking Dead universe. And who's probably going into the Marvel universe. Shame to watch her. He might be the new, look at Anika shaking her head. Why are you talking about Marvel? He may be the new Kang, now that the other brother has been tied up in some craziness and is no longer with Marvel. He actually is likely to be the new Kang. And so the movie about Bayard Rustin's life, called Rustin, is on Netflix, and it describes some of what Bayard Rustin was doing. He was the one that is credited to teaching Martin Luther King the use of nonviolence. That's how important he was. But his name has been almost forgotten because he was someone who was openly in same-sex relationships. So the movement thought that we would not talk about him much anymore. We should know that Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. He organizes the Selma to Montgomery March in 1965. This march was of critical importance because it was created by Bloody Sunday, where marchers who were fighting for nothing more than the right to vote were horribly beaten. This is the one where we also see the person who would go on to be a long-standing member of the House of Representatives, John Lewis, was a young man at the time. His skull was fractured on the first attempt to march from Selma to Montgomery across what is known as the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It is still known as the Edmund Pettus Bridge, even though we know that Edmund Pettus was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. There have been some movements to change the name of the bridge. When they put that name up there, they were making a commentary. They were trying to say, Negro, stay in your place. And thankfully, those Black folk did not. It is such an important event, and it was led by Martin Luther King. He takes on segregation in Chicago housing. You should know that he was attacked by the FBI very clearly. They tried to convince him with their COINTELPRO program to commit suicide. He opposed the Vietnam War, was very clearly saying that he was concerned about what was going on with the Palestinians in Gaza, by the way. He made commentary on it. And finally, after his death, there was a federal holiday instituted in the year 2000. You should know that one of the major people behind fighting for it to be a holiday was who? Who am I going to say? Stevie Wonder. That's where we get that happy birthday song that Black people sing, right? That's where we get it from. Happy birthday to you. That's a Stevie Wonder original, and it was created for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King holiday. That is, yeah, that's where it came from. It was created specifically for that. And so you should know that it is important, and that's the reason why we sing it too. Because you'll go somewhere. When we're in Kemetic and someone's birthday's there, they try to celebrate us as quote unquote Americans, and they will sing the traditional old happy birthday song. And then when they hear us sing, they're like, what's this? What are these people doing? A few years ago, one of the old modern Egyptian ladies came over to me and said, I do not know that song. Is it new? So it really is amazing that, we do how we do, right? We do how we do. Not going to sing that boring song.
That's right.
So it is of critical importance. You should know, however, that in Alabama and Mississippi, in order to allow there to be a holiday, but still to allow the racist former Confederates and others to try to mock the holiday, it's not just the Martin Luther King holiday in Alabama and Mississippi. It's the Robert E. Lee Martin Luther King Day. You know that Robert E. Lee was the Confederate general. And so they actually put his name first and then Martin Luther King there.
I want to comment on that.
Yes.
And this also goes in hand with when there are these statues people want to take down. I say leave them up. I say leave the statues up. I say leave all of that nonsense, Robert E. Lee, Martin Luther King Day, because then there's no hiding what has actually been done. So, with the whitewashing and erasing and exaggerations and lies, it's good to see facts, statues of people who actually existed. So we take these statues away and they go away, then that part of history is easier to erase. So, I think we should leave them and then put something next to it so you can push a button and then the real history of it would be told. I know that part's probably never going to happen, but it's easier to erase something when you physically remove it.
I hear that argument. I've always felt that we should take them down just because, first of all, public money was spent to put them up. And statues are not just historical, they're celebratory, right? When you see these statues, you become inspired by these racists who sought to continue to enslave and sometimes to murder our ancestors. So I get leaving them up allows us to remember just how racist this nation
and
is.
to learn. And
But
to
if you
also
look
learn
at
the
those
truth.
statues, they're so magnificent. You know what I mean? It's hard for us to be able to convince some folks of what these people did. So I get both arguments. I really do. I really do. I think that those statues, I believe they should be removed. But I think that we need to do a better job of telling the history.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at, I think we'll agree completely on that.
Part.
If you look at even the statue of the father of modern gynecology, that statue was right in front of the New York Academy of Medicine, right outside of Central Park, and it was a beautiful statue. You would honestly think, not knowing the history, and most of us do not. History is not taught well to anyone in the United States, to anyone, and it's going to get worse as those people who are clearly our enemies are trying to hide our history even further. What I'm going to say to you, as you walk by that on Central Park, you must say, oh, this is an important man, the father of gynecology. That's amazing. He's done some amazing things. We're talking about someone who purchased African women and did experiments on them without anesthesia. The man whose name is J. Marion Sims. So that statue has been removed. I believe that they put it near his grave. I want to say he's buried probably in Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn. And so I think that that's where that statue went. But we have to recognize that these magnificent pieces of public art tell us exactly how racist this country has been. But you know, the other thing is many of the streets that we live on were also named for enslavers. You know, for those of you who are New Yorkers, people will think that when we say Nostrand Avenue, we have warm feelings for that name because we know it's right in the hood.
Right.
But Nostrand was an enslaver, right? Carroll, an enslaver. Fulton, an enslaver. Skimmerhorn, an enslaver. These are places that we have warm feelings for because our people are around there, and even in some instances have created these small political fiefdoms there. But we still don't understand the history, and that is the problem. The problem is that now we need to be better at history.
Right, that's the solution. We need to go to these places and tell the story just like that.
Yeah.
Who these people really truly are. And just one more point because I know we have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
If this country took down all the statues of the overt racists, not even the quiet ones, but the overt racists, the enslavers, people who really tried to stop our progress, you know how many statues will be left?
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna tell you, it's going to be two. One is Rocky, and Rocky is a real person in Philly, and then the other one would be Chick Hearn, who was the announcer of the Los Angeles Lakers. That's all they got. If you know of two other Tomahawk statues besides Chick Hearn and Rocky, who ain't real, just hit your girl up.
That's a good point. That there's so many of them.
I mean, that's what they did.
There's so many of them.
That's
Another point is, like you said, knowing the history, because I think I was at a lecture that Charles Barron did, and he was telling folks that folks are hollering about Brooklyn, and you don't know the history of Brooklyn. He gave the background history of Brooklyn. He said, and people say Brooklyn in the house, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And so you don't know you're dealing with a enslaver.
That's right.
Or whatever, and you don't know where that name come from. So
Brooklyn. It's a Dutch name, and the Dutch enslaved.
Right.
And so we have to recognize that we live in a world that should remind us how painful and how dangerous it was for Africans. But so many of us don't know that story. And the story that we were able to put together in books has now been in many ways taken away. You know, there are states that now they have rules, laws against what they like to call critical race theory, and that's a problem.
Oh, they taking it everywhere.
But with regard to history, we've been talking a bit about Martin Luther King. I want you to know that Martin Luther King was not just an activist, he was a scholar. He was a scholar.
Yes, most scholars.
Now, As a scholar, this means that he was reading some of those things that I wish others would read. He was reading some of what Christian pastors and Christian priests are not reading. I want you to read this quote from a paper he wrote in his seminary school, Crozier Seminary. Listen to what Martin Luther King has to say about the Christian tradition with regard to ancient Kemet. He says, this is a quote, he says, the Egyptian mysteries of Isis and Osiris exerted considerable influence upon early Christianity. That's the first part.
That's the first thing.
These two great Egyptian deities who worship passed into Europe were revered not only in Rome, but in many other centers where Christian communities were growing up. Osiris and Isis, so the legend runs, were at one and the same time brother and sister, husband and wife, but Osiris was murdered, his coffined body being thrown into the Nile. And shortly afterwards, the widowed and exiled Isis gave birth to a son, Horus. Meanwhile, the coffin was washed up on the Syrian coast and became miraculously lodged in a tree, in the trunk of a tree. This tree afterwards chanced to be cut down and made into a pillar in the palace at Byblos. And there Isis at length found it. After recovering Osiris's dismembered body, Isis restored him to life and installed him as king in the netherworld. Meanwhile, Horus, having grown to manhood, reigned on earth, later becoming the third person of this great Egyptian trinity. This is what Martin Luther King wrote. When I say this, I get people attack me. Well, you better understand Martin, as my grandmother called him, Martin Luther the King. Not Martin Luther King, Martin Luther the King wrote this in a paper called The Influence of the Mystery Religions on Christianity. He wrote this in 1949. And I want you to recognize that the person who was grading his paper in the margin says something like, be cautious about these comments.
Because they knew.
Because they are not popular in Christianity. I want you to recognize that this is how much Dr. Martin Luther King understood what we do here today. If he had met the Shrine of Ma'at, what would he say about the Shrine of Ma'at? I think that would be fascinating. If he knew the Shrine of Ptah, what would he say about the Shrine of Ptah? Would he recognize that these great African traditions were of critical importance? Let's continue. So, as we're talking about the Kemetic philosophy of ancestral veneration, I want you to take a look at these two individuals on this screen. We are seeing Imhotep on the left and a great and powerful queen on the right. Now, I didn't ask you who Imhotep was because I figured you would know who Imhotep was. His statues all around Kemet were replete. In fact, here's a statue that we have. I'm going to tell you that these are not common today. This is an old one. Can you see how old it is? Mm-hmm. It's an old statue that we actually got in Kemet as we traveled there. It's very hard to see this statue, to find this statue. We now have found a few of them. But these statues were all over Kemet, reminding us of this great and powerful person of healing and of scholarship and study. He was a priest, a high priest, and also one of the world's first doctors. We know that he was a human being, that he actually lived. And upon his death, he was transitioned into a divine character, so that for thousands of years afterward, he would be prayed to as a deity, as a member of the Neteru. The same thing happened for the lady on the right. Who is she? Who is she? For those of you who have been studying, I want to see if you've come across her. Who is the lady on the right who was also elevated to a divine character upon her death? What was that? Are you asking me or are you telling me? You're telling me?
Yeah.
Now he's supposed to know.
It's all right.
Why should he know? Because why should you know?
Because I've taken on the name of her brother.
And her.
And he was the king.
Yes, brother and husband. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, he was.
All right.
Now listen, there is a thing that we might think peculiar today, that in the ancient Kemetic tradition, sometimes, mostly half brothers and half sisters, would be married in order to protect the royal bloodline. It did happen in Kemet. And today we would think that it's quite strange. But it is something that occurred amongst the royalty, not amongst everyone, but amongst royalty, because they were trying to protect a royal bloodline that traveled on the woman's side. That's why we use the word matrilineal. Yes.
Always, because they understood science and
Mm-hmm.
all that. I always thought that it was the wife, even though they called her.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was symbolic. I didn't think it was
Sometimes it is symbolic.
not actual sister.
Sometimes it is symbolic. So, for example, Ramses the Great is known to have at least 2 of his daughters as his wives, but there is no record of any regular wife type relationship that occurred, right? In that instance, it is a title, right? But in this instance, we know that they have offspring.
Now, that's what we think. Were they half or were they?
I don't think anyone knows that for sure. Most people would argue that this may be one of the unusual times that they may have been full brother and sister, but we don't. I don't know if we could tell you that for sure. They were coming out of a time when Kemet was being controlled by foreign people, so some of the records likely are sparse. But this Hemneter Amos is correct. Ames is correct. This is the wife of the king, known usually as Ames or Amos, and she also has a name, Amos. So she is Amos Nefertari, and she was deified. By the way, she is usually depicted with the darkest possible skin, not dark brown, black. That is usually how she is depicted. And for over 1,000 years, we have records of people praying to her, lighting candles to her, offering her libation and food, because she is considered a divine ancestor. Yes. Although their mother, Queen Ahotep, was the one that in many ways did, I'd argue, the most. So what am I trying to get at here? This has been a difficult month for the Shrine of Ma'at. We know that several of our members have lost those people who are dear to them. And I don't even like to use the word loss, but I know how it feels. My father's birthday was January 22nd, and I certainly thought about losing him now going on 4 years. It feels like a loss to me, even though I am a priest and I recognize that he is not gone. And he even tries to communicate with me. He has communicated on many occasions. But I'm going to say to you that I know how it feels when you lose these people close to you. And then we go to January 20th and we know that that was the birthday of Anika's mother. So it's been we've been thinking about those people who are closest to us, who loved us, who helped create us, who are now ancestors. And we've even seen that members of the Shrine of Ma'at has lost people close to them. We know that Rausa Ma'at has lost her son. We know that Hemneter Tehuti lost his grandmother. This has been going around. It's been a tough month for us.
Centaur lost her uncle.
And Sinet Tara lost her uncle too. So I knew that too, and I forgot to mention it. I want to remind you that with all of this time that may feel like you are in sorrow, that in our tradition, We understand that death does not destroy you. That if you are a person of good works, if your heart is lighter than the feather, you go into eternity as Asar. But what should you do when you lose someone? What should you do when someone makes their journey to the afterlife, goes to the Duat, is now a resident in Taseket Ma'at? This comes to us from the Reyu Pert and Ruangir. You know that this is the book that has been unfortunately termed the Book of the Dead. It is the most important book in the New Kingdom of Kemet, inscribed in people's tombs and also on papyri that would go there as well. What do they say that you should do? Listen to this. This is the ancestor speaking. It says, "Hail to you, fair and formed, Lord of issues, who are springing up forever, and whose double goal is eternity. Turn to me your hands." Who are they referring to, by the way? Fair in form.
That who is past.
Lord of issues. Who is that? Who are they talking to?
Transitioning.
This is they're speaking to a member of the divine in this instance.
Oh, okay.
Who do you think that is?
Say that be the first part of
The hidden part, the part that might hint to you, is the one that says fair in form.
Never had.
Ma'at.
Nope.
No.
That's Ma'at.
Remember, it says next Lord of issues, not lady, but Lord of issues.
Oh.
Who is the image of resurrection? Asar. This is speaking to Asar directly. This is speaking to Asar directly. And it says, "Turn to me your hands. And in fact, do this work for me, I plead." Listen to what else it says. "Give to me food and offerings for my mouth." That will come back to that in a minute. "Let me eat the bread and kenfu cake. Let my place be in the great hall, in the presence of the great netter. I know that the great netter, to whose nostrils ye present delicacies. Atum is his name. And whether he, whose name is Atum, arises from the east or advances to the west, let his course be my course. Let no one have mastery over my limbs." Right off here, we see that person who has made their transition should receive food and offerings. There's a fundamental principle in the universe. That which you feed is that which lives. So if you want your ancestors to continue to have access to you, to commune with you, you should feed them. This is important. And in addition to that, we are seeing that one actually should, oh yeah, the male person is here, should actually have their journey be the journey the same as the sun. Look at this. Arises from the east or advances to the west. When someone passes today, we often say on their program, sunrise and sunset. That's even in the Christian tradition. I find it so interesting that we say sunrise and sunset. That directly mirrors the Kemetic tradition. That's not something that you're seeing in the Christian tradition, but we have a memory. There's an echo of these traditions that lives within us. We just now need to speak truth to power, to make it plain, so that we are clear that these traditions come from the tradition of ancient Kemet. And then it says, "Let no one have mastery over my limbs." In other words, let me have control of my body in the afterlife so that I may live and do the things that I choose to do as a new member of the ancestors. This is important. This is important. I want you to, with all of these people that you have lost, it's time for you practitioners to get into practice. It's time for you practitioners to make offerings to them so that they may continue to live. And I've had this conversation a few times. There's still much that we need to learn. I have not found an ancient text that tells me what a Kenfu cake is.
I found the directions.
Did you find the directions?
No, I'm teasing you.
I was gonna tell him, you better tell me right now. I have not found the ancient explanation. I've heard some modern people say they think they know what it
They
is,
don't know.
but they've never given me like it comes from here, and that's what I want. If we are hearing that there's a particular cake that is given to those people who have made their transition, don't you think we should be making that cake?
That's the truth.
When someone makes a transition, that's the first thing I would do.
Is it in all the other literatures from our Kemet that we have? This is the only place that is.
I haven't found the Kenfu
We
cake.
should form a Kenfu cake committee
We really should.
and then just like,
And have people scour everything to try to find where it comes from. And I've heard there's some people that have said this is what it should be, but I want them to tell me. Now, listen, I have no problem making something and saying this is our version of the Kenfu cake. I have no
Right.
problem with that
right,
because the Kemetic tradition should exist in at least 3 different forms, right? We should do exactly what our ancestors do because they did it. They were the masters of this tradition, and we should imitate and follow them. And then there should be those things that they didn't exactly do that we create based on the things they created. I would say that's where the opening of the way comes in, right?
Right.
It's made entirely of the portions of things that our ancestors created, but the ritual itself is something that was created by our elder. That's the second level. And then the third level is we should create what we need according to our understanding of Ma'at. So those are new things, right? Ain't nobody in the ancient world have a website for their shrine.
ain't no more no shrine.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's be clear that we need to do that as well. So those are the 3 levels that we need to work in. So do we need to just create a Kenfu cake and say, this is our Kenfu cake? Maybe, but I would rather find a recipe first.
I know
Jabbar.
exactly what it means.
Which language, or I should say, in Tepe-Nika, is Kenfu? Like, which language is that? What does that sound like?
It's in the Kemetic
Maybe we
tradition.
can start there.
It's in the Kemetic
I have to
tradition.
see how it's spelled, but
Yeah, with the,
like when it
Actual
lists
Well,
on
it's different, you have
No,
ancient,
fine.
Mhm.
Now, you see what you're doing now is you're trying to tell me, this is not the time for me to do this, Jabari. But I'm like, I need to find it. Where's the Kenfu cake? Because I know that I have it marked here, but I'd have to go through. Look at my book, by the way. Look at mine. I have all kinds of
I'm
markings.
just saying that's for future. We don't have to stop this.
Yes. But let me say to you that we should be doing this. And even if we don't know what the recipe for Kenfu cakes are,
Kimberly Blue says it's a date and honey cake that she saw.
I have heard that before.
On a
Day and
video.
honey.
But where is that described? Now listen, would a date and honey cake make sense?
Yes,
Straight from that region,
yes.
you would expect to see dates and honey, right? You see them on the altar.
Mhm.
So Kimberly Blue, maybe we're gonna just have to make some date and honey cakes and say, Kenfu, Kenfu. We might have to do that. Listen, even today in that time, we see people eating dates and honey as
Mhm.
cake as well, right? So that's probably, you're probably not wrong. I just want to see where it comes
She
from.
says it's an Egyptian cake that was taken into battle and a symbol of immortality and provisions for the next.
But where is she reading it from?
She researched it.
We gotta be.
Let me ask this. Yes, Kemetic Ascension is running long. Let me say this. Look at that image. Someone tell me what it's from and why is it important to our conversation.
I don't know where it's. I can't. Let's say Kim. That's the holiest holy. And,
Holy holies of what?
I don't know whose tomb it. Temple.
It's from a tomb, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's from a tomb. It is from a tomb.
Okay. Homework, because Anika's going to tell me off for spending more time on this. I have told you which tomb this is from. Okay? I've told you.
Yeah.
I want you all to find which tomb it's from. Do we have answers online, by the way? And when you find them, I want you to tweet, post these images, and explain why this is important. Please go ahead and use the hashtag Shrine of Ma'at or the hashtag Kemetic Ascension, so that you're clear that you're doing your work. When I ask people to do this, I don't see them do it, by the way. Y'all need to do it. The reason why this is powerful, by the way, is this. Hemnetter Almas is correct about this. It is actually in the tomb of a very important person from the 6th dynasty. I'm giving you a lot of hints.
Yeah.
And this statue is of him. And I want you to know that this is supposed to be right in the place where he would have been interred. And you can see that this statue is stepping forward, not into the tomb, but out of the tomb. And underneath his feet, I know that it is damaged now, but I want you to know that that is a glyph under his feet, right at the top of the stairs. Anyone know what glyph that is? If you were seeing it from above, you'd be clearer about what it is.
An offering.
Yeah, it's an offering. What's the word that we use here? This is the Hotep offering, the Hetep. The word that we use for blessings is also the word for offerings. So this is the place that those people making an offering to this person, I'm about to tell you who it is, would have actually left the offerings for him. And he would have been able to come forward and receive it. By the way, notice that his right hand, the right hand is which hand?
Receiving.
The one that receives is down to where the offerings are. So he is receiving the offerings in order for him to do what? Come into the land of the living. Make your offerings to your ancestor. Don't spend all of your time in sorrow, crying, with Kleenexes up against your nose. Do the work if you're a practitioner. This is the work. Give offerings to your ancestor. Get up in your altar. Because if you spend time at your altar, it will alter your condition. It is time for you to do the work. We know that you're sad. We know that you may be in pain. We know that you may be aching for the sound of your ancestor's voice. Do the work and you will hear them. Do the work and you can commune with them. That is what the oldest recorded spiritual tradition is telling us here. Do as your ancestors did, because it was the mainstay of their great African civilization. It was the mainstay of their spiritual tradition, which then became the oldest recorded spiritual tradition in the world and was borrowed from, I'm not going to say borrowed, I'm being polite, and stolen from by the modern traditions that exist today. So that is what we should do. I'm not going to read more here because I'm late. Yes, but I also want you to know that as you do this work, this would be a good time for you to do the Asar Hessie, Iau Iau Iau, Asar Neferu, Di Isa Neteru, Asar 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 This is saying praise, praise, praise Asar the most perfect. Give me divine wisdom. Asar the great, Asar the great. We're not just praying to Asar, we're praying to the spirit, the very fiber of immortality that is within each of us. This is why this is important. So with that, the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. I hope that what I've said has provided you some solace, but not just solace. Also some instructions for what you must be about. If you're going to do the work, we want to see you post the image of the great ancestor in his shrine and tell us where it's from. And I would love for you also to send us images of your ancestral altar where you're doing the work. I will do so as well. With that, the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Can we ask Anika, do you want to come forward for the final affirmation?
Okay, everyone. So it's great to have our When Wet in-house. And what we're going to do now is our final affirmation that comes from the Reo and Pert and Heru and Ger, known as the Book of the Coming Forth by Day from Night. And we're going to do the Amasu. So if you just stand in the pose of adoration and repeat after me, we will start in the Netter Netter and then we'll repeat it in English. Amasu and Pater.
Amasu and Pater.
Sautsu.
Sautsu.
Emendra.
Emendra.
And Pater.
And Pater.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did today.
Just as you did today.
Thank you to the divine.
Thank you, True.
Thank you to all of you.
Dwa, dwa, dwa. I know Anika probably typed this already, but your donations are helpful. We don't do, and I have Hemnetter Waziri in-house as I say this. He said it to me and I said it's profound. I'm going to continue to say it. We don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. So your donations are helpful. Thank you so much. Dwa, dwa, dwa to you. Please enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, do the work. Get up in your altars and send us those pictures. We'll see you soon. See you soon. Shemin Ma'at.
Shema. That was good.